It's like Janine Ron says, autobiography time. Okay. What were you like in your lefty Hollywood days? It's hard to imagine the get up and go gumption and inquisitiveness of that kid who got his own planetarium gig fitting in with the smug complacency and conformity of wannabe in Hollywood and actually in Hollywood types. Wow. Okay. That's also actually kind of on point. First of all, you should know that when I was at my most leftist, when I was at my most liberal, and David Horowitz has told me never use that word again, he's right. But you should know that at the moment of my most progressive leftist political views, that at that time, I've said this before, I'll say it again, I need to make it crystal clear. At the most left-wing I was, the most left-wing day of my life, I was pro-military, I was pro-business, and I was pro-America. I wanted to make movies for a profit. I wanted to go to businessmen and convince them that this was a wise investment of their capital, which I would then turn into more capital than they put into the movie. And that I had no desire to do grants. And people said, go apply for grants. I'm not going to apply for a grant and wait for 4 months for the government to hand me money. And no, I'm going to go find a guy who's got some money, convince him it's a smart investment. I think it's a smart investment. Turns out I was an idiot, but I didn't know that at the time. So I just wanted on the record that when I was at my most left wing, I wasn't really anything like today's leftists. I loved this country. I loved business. I loved the military. And I had just gotten into show business and theater because my opportunity to fly at supersonic speeds and shoot down communists had been taken out of my hands after 12 years of preparation. So I wasn't like your left-wingers today, and he's my boss, and I have enormous respect for David Horowitz, enormous respect for him. But David Horowitz, when he was a left-winger, he was one of the guys who was writing the Port Huron Statement trying to destroy America. I don't have that to atone for. I just had some dopey ideas because I thought the hot girls felt the same way, and I didn't know any better. What the hell did I know? So, I just have to get that said, mostly because I'm so ashamed of it. But I was never in that headspace out here in California. I was in that headspace when I was a freshman at the University of Florida, 79, 80, 81, 82. I was hanging out with theater people. I was in the theater department, and nobody knew anything about anything, so we all felt, because we're emotional people, we're in show business, we all felt very, 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 very passionately about things we knew nothing about. Nothing. We knew nothing about anything. And that's the thing that's so interesting to me about the left, and that's why I find it so easy to flip these people. I didn't know anything about anything, and I was violently passionate about things I knew nothing about. Nothing. Gun control sounds like a grand idea. I've said this before. I've admitted it in public. It's not something that's easy to say, but I voted for Walter Mondale in 1984 because he said he was going to raise taxes. And I thought, well, good, we need tax money to do stuff. And, you know why I didn't have any problem with Walter Mondale raising taxes when I voted for him in 1984? Because I wasn't paying any taxes in 1984. That's why I was stone cold broke. So that's another lesson I learned over time. But look, the second that I heard reason, I just started to change my mind. Nobody had to beat it into me. I'm not a 9/11 conservative. I didn't suddenly wake up and go, holy cow, they're trying to kill us. I was talking with somebody about this just the other day. It was about 1985, 86, 87, somewhere in there, and I was reading Newsweek magazine, which I read for the cartoons, and there was a column by George Will, and he was talking about the movie Glory, which I loved, because even then I loved the Civil War. I thought it was a great movie. And he was saying that these progressive leaders, black community leaders, were saying, saying to Reagan, we need you to give us a victory. And George Will said, if I give it to you, it's not a victory, it's a gift. It's not, you haven't earned anything. And Will went into Glory and basically said that the whole point of Glory, the whole reason they made a movie was because of what the actual 54th Massachusetts Regiment did. And what they did was, when they went into battle at Battery Wagner that day in South Carolina, this black regiment went marching past, forget what the Confederates thought about them, we know what the Confederates thought about them, but they went marching past white Union soldiers who thought they were sandbags. They thought they were just useless, that they were slaves. And they went marching past these white Union soldiers who had nothing but prejudice and hatred for these black soldiers. And when the battle was over, the white soldiers didn't feel that way anymore. They saw the heroism with their own eyes. They saw the casualties they took. They saw them fighting just like white men and dying just like white men for the same reason. And when that battle was over, the 54th Massachusetts got to be the subject of a movie because the prejudice wasn't overcome through fiat. It was earned. It was earned. They earned it. They proved it. And I read this in 85, 86, 87, something like that from George Will, and I thought, man, that makes a lot of sense to me. And it's like, this guy's a big conservative. It's like, well, okay, makes a lot of sense. And then I started getting into P.J. O'Rourke, and P.J. O'Rourke not only made sense, P.J. O'Rourke was funny. And I remember P.J. O'Rourke saying, that, we believe in fast cars and loud guns and hot women, and they're the weenies. We're not the weenies. What's the matter with you? And I thought, yeah. And he would just start going off, and he'd say, yeah, capitalism's not perfect. There's a lot of problems with capitalism, but I've been around the world with Rolling Stones, and every place else just sucks. And it's suddenly you realize that it's, when you're living in the theater and you're watching Michael Jackson walk up a wall and you see people flying on moons through the sky, you really do measure America against a fictional perfect society. And yeah, it sucks, but there are no fictional perfect societies. You only get to measure America against places that exist for real. And when you measure it against places that exist for real, it's paradise. And that's a big wake-up call for a lot of people. And some people never get there. They just never do. It's like, yes, it'd be nice if things were nicer, but they're not. So where are they nicer? Nowhere. What's it tell you? Do more of the good stuff, do less of the bad stuff. Perfection's the enemy of the good. I'd like to live in a perfect place, but there are no perfect places. So I'd rather live in a good place. And the people who are determined to live in a perfect place make a living hell because they start killing the people that they perceive are slowing down the perfection. And that's not the kind of place I want to live at all.